What's going on, guys? Barbecue Late Night Live. I am your host here, Andrew, aka the Grill Sergeant. Here is Jared, Frack Daddy Barbecue, coming in from Texas. Jared, introduce yourself. You went black there for a second.
Yeah, it must be this new liberal internet that we're dealing with. But guys, I'm Jared with Frack Daddy Barbecue. I've been absent for the past, 3 weeks, Andrew?
I'd say so.
Yeah, so tonight's going to be a great show because we're going to be talking pork butt, we're going to be talking brisket, we're going to be talking chicken. We're going to be talking everything that you would do at a competition barbecue. And we also have a great guest. And just so you guys know, the Texas boys are outnumbering the California boy in the show tonight.
Hey, you know I'm not going to be complaining, Jared.
No, maybe one day you'll be here, bro.
That's right. Then it will be the three. So before we start, I do want to give a channel shout out to Castle Hives. Thank you for being a sponsor of the show. All right, guys, let's dive in. So, Jared, tell me how you met tonight's guests.
So, as you guys can see, I'm rocking my Midland Meat Company hat. I went down there. John has always always takes care of me on my channel with supplying me with some meats when I go down there. And I had the opportunity to meet our guest at his restaurant called the Half Acre, which Midland Meat Company owns. And Aaron was cooking, and John told me to go speak with him. I ended up speaking with Aaron. Hell of a great guy. And guys, if you're ever down in Midland, you need to go to the Half Acre and you need to get some of Aaron's jalapeno poppers. I tell you what, these are some of the best jalapeno poppers I have ever had in my life.
Nice.
And they're pretty game changing. So that's how I met him. And he's a competition cook. So we're going to be learning what goes all into competition cooks.
Awesome, man. I can't wait. Before we bring them on, let's just say hi to, we got a bunch of people up in here tonight. I'm seeing Laura coming all the way from Canada. Jared, do you want to do your Laura sound? Oh man. Jared just keeps on ditching me here. I swear it's like every time Jared moves, I think the internet moves with him. So maybe Jared's pulling his own gravitational internet. All right, so I'm seeing Dustin coming up in here. What's going on, Ryan? Welcome, man. Welcome, dude. We got the one and only. Oh, there, Jared, you're back, dude. All right, so we got Chuck from Niners Nation. What's going on, dude? Rick, thanks for popping in, man. All right, we got Brisket Connecticut in the house. Yeah, right on. We got Terry from Madwood Barbecue. All right, so that being said. Oh, we got Carl here. You can't forget Carl. He almost started without me. All right, so let's bring on tonight's guest right now. This is Aaron coming in from Texas. Let me just get this thing out of the way so we have room to bring him on. So here we go. All right, everyone, welcome Aaron to the show. Aaron, thank you for being on with us.
What's up, guys? What's happening?
Not much, man.
Not much. How are you, Aaron?
Woo. Spin around there.
Phone just dropped, didn't it? Trying to get y'all dialed in here just a little bit without it being so crooked.
Oh, it's all good.
Yeah, we're good, man. We're good. Man, setting up for a barbecue class up here in Weatherford, Texas. Getting everything rigged up, set up, got the pits, got the Jambo, got the coals in it. So we're ready for 5:30 a.m. in the morning.
Nice. Wow. All right. That sounds cool. So, Aaron, tell us about a little bit of your history. What got you into barbecue and how long you've been barbecuing for? Tell us what got you into barbecuing.
Well, long story short, back in 2012, I've been in the oil field for 24 years. I've worked on the drilling rigs, worm corner. I was a lead tong hand, moved my way up to drilling and dairy, pushing tools, company man, superintendent. And so over all that time, I always grilled on the rigs. We cooked out, we did different things. So in 2012, I built a barbecue pit, a tri-sided barbecue pit. We needed someone to cook some steaks one day. And we couldn't find a catering company in the Permian that would come out to a location and cook a grilled over hot coals ribeye steak. And you're paying $300, $400, $500 for 30 steaks. I mean, you want it to be a good steak. You know, you can't screw it up. We were eating steak. We were in the oil field. You eat a lot of ribeye steak. So we were eating steaks probably 4 days a week. For bonuses, we were given bonuses and dinners. So for about 6 weeks, 7 weeks, we were like, you know, there's somebody has to be able to do this. And I was like, well, I got a pit at home. I'll just bring it out and we'll just start with some steaks. We'll see how it goes. I did it again the next day and the next day. Hired a couple of guys, hired my father-in-law and my boyfriend. And 3 years later, we're doing, you know, 1.25 inch ribeyes a week, doing, you know, 200 or 300 pork chops, bone-in pork chops, you know, probably 1.5 inch, catfish and brisket and sausage. And so we did that for about 3 years. Conflict of interest kind of kicked in a little bit for all the oil companies, you know, so we had to back out of that. So once we backed out, I bought a food trailer, porch trailer, mounted a barbecue pit to the back of it and went to catering on my days off. Started doing events, built another barbecue pit for that trailer in 13 and 14. It was 30 inches, 7 foot long, reverse flow, 8-inch stack, and hold 16 brisket. Went to catering, started doing large events, and never looked back. So in 2017, 18, I started making more money on 2 weeks off in the oil field as a superintendent catering than I was bringing home salary. Now that's salary, not like this and, you know, all the other stuff. So when you start doing that and your career takes you to a point where the money is coming in the same as what the paycheck is, now not cash in hand, not at the end of the year kind of stuff, but just that makes you start to think about, hey, can I do this? Can I do this full time? In 2018, in April of 18, I retired from the oil and I started bar full time. So, I mean, 15, I started competing about 6 or 7 times that year, and then I never looked back. I just kept going. They just kind of made it. It just seemed like if I could during the week, I could compete in, you know, barbecue competition on the weekend.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the name Texas Oil Dust. So that basically ties into the rigs that you guys that you worked on.
Yeah, you know, we live in the great state of Texas. It's the best state in the world. A lot of people want to be us, but they can't. You know, and then oil. I mean, you know, that's what we are. West Texas is an oil populated community. It breeds what we do. And then dust, you know, for seasonings and stuff like that. I was driving down the road one day. Me and my wife were talking in the truck. I was going to meet the guy behind this logo, actually.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? We got to have a catchy name. What can we do? What can be a catchy name? Going down the road, hit a red light, kept driving, hit another red light, and I was like, Texas. And then I was like, oil, and I was like, dust. What do we call it? Texas Oil Dust, and then that was it.
Nice. That's
it says it speaks about me and who I am and where I come from. So
nice. Right on. Very cool. So so tell me if you can. So like what came first when you were deciding to make the jump into like the catering, and then you're like, okay, did your seasonings come first? Did your rubs come first? Did your sauces? Did the classes, like what were kind of the order of events?
So the catering first. When you're doing 500 ribeyes a week, you can't afford to keep buying steak seasonings at the store.
Yeah.
You got to figure if you're averaging 60 to 80 ribeyes a day, 5 days a week, and if you figure out that's an $8 bottle of rub, could be $7, could be $6, you know, whatever you're buying and trying different stuff. So if you're spending $8 or $10 a day on steak seasoning and you're doing it 5 days a week, that's $50 a week, $200 a month. You do the math and it starts to add itself up.
Yeah.
So we were doing so many that I said, you know, what if we just made our own? And I started with a gallon pickle jug. That's what I had. I had a dill pickle jug. I started with a gallon pickle jug. I started making salt, pepper, paprika, you know, cumin. I just started with a whole variety of stuff. And 3 years later, the oil dust came into spell.
Oh, right.
The seasoning came second. The catering came first. and then we perfected the oil dust recipe to what's in the bottle today. And now we sell probably 4,000 bottles a month of that particular rub.
That's cool. So what does your rub lineup look like as far as how many different rubs do you guys offer, or do you make?
So we've got 7 bottles of rub, and we have 7 rub bottles. Sorry, a piece of ice in my mouth. So I've got the oil dust lineup, our all-purpose rub. Used to be our steak seasoning, now it's our all-purpose rub. Yeah. We use that shit on everything, like the Frank's hot sauce, slogan. I use shit on everything. So,
yeah.
I made the Barnyard Pimp, which is my chicken rub, and then I made the Piggy Bank, which is my pork and rib rub, and then I made the Black Gold that came in play, the brisket rub, and then from there I have a Wildcatter, which is a zesty, which is a garlic seasoning. It's a savory garlic. I've got the zesty garlic, which is a jalapeno, and then I have a MSG in a bottle, which is just monosodium glutamate, but it's there it is right there. Jared's got a bottle of it. If you like garlic, you'll love that Wildcatter. You go on anything.
Here's a little funny thing. I was going to say, here's a funny thing, Aaron. I went down and I saw John when I bought some of your rubs, and I left them down at my parents' house.
Oh, no way.
But I did bring this home.
There you go. That's money in a bottle right there.
It's amazing.
That I made sauce 3 years ago, and I used it in my barbecue trailer. So that kind of rounded out the rub injections. I have a beef injection, a chicken, and a pork injection. The barbecue sauce followed it in, but I built that sauce for beef. I didn't build it for chicken and ribs. I built it for beef. Barbecue sandwiches, that we were selling a lot of barbecue sandwiches. Sauce is thin. It's so thick. It's not like your standard on the shelf barbecue sauce. It's thin because it's more of a dipping sauce, and you don't have to spread it. It'll pour on its own. So we made the Brandon. That name come from John Scarborough at Midland Meat Company. He's like, you know what? I like this sauce. Let me come up with a name for it. And so he kicked it around a little bit, and Brandon Oil came in live, and we've had it ever since. So it's an awesome beef rub. If you do anything beef, just put your light glaze that and set that sauce, and it's going to bellow in those flavors. If it's salty, it'll sweeten it up. It'll counteract that salt. If it's really sweet, the garlic and the onion will kind of bring itself out, that little peppery kick. So it's kind of a chameleon in a bottle, but it's been a really good hit.
Tomorrow. Yeah,
that's good.
Right on.
What are you gonna use it on?
Well, kind of like what we talked about. I'm gonna be doing I got some hot dogs that I picked up from Midland Meat Company.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I'm gonna do smoked Wagyu corn dogs for a video.
Those so the hot dogs you're talking about, all beef hot dog. It's a Wagyu hot dog. And if you had, I don't know if y'all have a Sam's Club there anywhere, y'all that you're in California, but if you've had the what's that? Everybody uses that.
The beef tallow.
Oh no, it's a popular brand hot dog that it's a big thick. Hey, what's that popular hot dog everybody uses? It's that big beef hot dog. I got guys over here in this class. What? Well, Hebrew one is like not Zentner's. It's like they had one at Coney Island or something. That big popular hot dog place over.
Nathan's hot dogs.
It reminds me of the Nathan's hot dog. It's an all beef Wagyu hot dog, but it reminds me of that. It's big, it's solid, but it's got just big flavor when you smoke it. Smoke that hot dog and then dip that cornbread and make your corn dog.
Oh yeah, that's what I plan on doing.
Yeah, it's really good, but the hot dogs are good. He's talking about, and then of course a dipping sauce with that barbecue, really good.
Nice. So when did you get into when did you try out your first competition?
So it's a funny deal. My brother-in-law got me into this. I ought to kick his ass for it, but I went to a competition that he was at in 2013. He won $100 for a first place chicken, and I was pushing tools. Let's see, I was a company man, so I drove in town to get groceries, and he's like, "Hey man, my wife, come on over here. We're over here. There's barbecue competition." I said, "What's that? What's a barbecue competition?" "Well, you know, they're doing this, chicken, ribs, and brisket." So I went by there, and hey man, check my trophy out. I got first place chicken, $800. I'm like, dang man, that's some good money, you know. So fast forward about 4 or 5, he goes to another competition there in Midland, our hometown, and gets a first place rib and gets another like $600 or $800. And so he's like, "You ought to build a barbecue and let's go do a couple of cook-offs a year with the family." So I did. I took some 20-inch casing from the rig. I built a barbecue pit on a trailer, and that's the one I was cooking steaks on. And he that right there and started cooking. And the first part of 13, middle of 13, we went to our first cook-off as a family. There was probably 30 or 40 of us there, and I didn't do worth a shit. My food sucked. It was salty. I used a lot of Tony Chachere's, and I don't know, I was putting all kinds of garlic and, you know, just I had no idea what I was doing. I was just trying to make it taste good. So I did in 13, and then in 2014 I did a couple of more with the family. And then I was on our vacation time, our 2 weeks off, we would do in like Waco and Dallas Fort Worth and San Antonio, and just the whole family, like Beverly Hillbillies. I had a truck, a camper, a barbecue pit all together, 64.5 feet long, and we had a golf cart in the back of the truck, and we just went and had a good time at the river and cooked.
Yeah.
In 2015, I told my wife, I said, "This is getting kind of expensive. You know, we're spending $1,000, $1,200 a weekend with the whole family and camping and all that, and we're not making any money back at these cook-offs." So I took a small online video class, and within about 3 months, I hit my first grand championship.
Nice.
And popped another one, a state championship with about 78 teams. I hit that one and won one grand champion there. And then fast forward to 16, more grand champions, a few reserves, and then I was hooked. I mean, I was already hooked, but I mean, it was time to really just start really dipping, get this party started.
Yeah. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you scored a perfect score on your last brisket at a cook-off, right?
Yes, sir. I got my first. I've had first place briskets, but this was a KCBS test. I've had perfect 180 chickens. But I have never had a first place perfect or a first place 180 in KCBS on brisket, and I took that 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
Now, how hard is it to score a 180 for a perfect brisket, Aaron?
You know, it's hard to score good anywhere because everyone's so good. The quality of the cooks have changed, and it's like everybody's phenomenal job. So it's hard. You have to be on point. You have to. Who wins made the least amount of mistakes.
Right.
To really just be right, not make any mistakes for those judges to like that. So it's very difficult to get that, but that just means you were dedicated, you paid attention, you took care of your business, and they loved your flavor of that day. And to get that 180 brisket was a huge thing. I got reserve grand that day, and it was a big call for me. And that was with John's Angus brisket.
Really?
Yeah, that was the first Angus brisket 180.
Nice.
Now, how often at barbecue comps do you hear of people doing perfect scores like briskets or chicken or ribs? Like, is it something that's fairly common at every cook-off, or is it just kind of like,
you know, there will be some cook-offs that there won't be any 180s given out. There might be some 700 scores given out, but there might not be any 180s. In order to get a 180, 6 that judge your bar for KCBS on a table, and what they do is they drop the lowest score. 5 judges gave you a perfect score to get that 180.
Gotcha.
Now, it's hard. Now, if you get 6 judges that give you a perfect score, that's a perfect. That's the highest score you can get, and I believe it's 200. So, I mean, you know, that's difficult to get, but on a given day, there may be 1 or 2 180s. There could be 10 180s. It just depends on just how well the day went for a lot of teams and the judges, you know, how well they like their bar. So, I mean, it just just from weekend to weekend on perfect scores, getting those 180s.
Right.
Sometimes you might get three 180s in brisket. You get a first, a second, a third, and the computer sets that tiebreaker. But they're still 180s. They're still perfect scores.
Right.
Wow, that's crazy. All right,
but they're tough. Hard to get.
Nice. I do want to say a special thanks to Chuck. Thank you for the super chat on that one. So, so when did you start deciding that you'd want to start teaching competition classes?
Okay, so I love teaching people how to cook because I like to cook. The one thing that my grandmother showed me how to do, and my mom, is my grandfather. He taught me how to grill. He taught me how to grill chicken. You know, when the chicken is done, you reach in there, you the leg when the bone twists and the meat stays there, it's done. I mean, that was the old school way of doing things. They didn't have pins and meat probes and all that stuff. My grandmother taught me how to cook comfort food in the kitchen. My mom showed me things of growing up, you know, how to cook simple foods. And so I always enjoyed eating and cooking food. The thing that I want to do is I love to share how to do that. But I made myself a promise, and that I would not give a class until I won my entry into the Jack Daniel's World Championship in Pittsburgh, Tennessee in October. So I've been trying for 3 years to get to win an invitation to the Jack Daniel's. It's probably it's the most prestigious cook-off, I believe, in the world. It's a bucket list item for a lot of people for years ago. Not everyone gets to go. So my goal was I would not teach a class until I got my invitation. And I won my invitation 2 months ago in New Mexico when I won the auto in New Mexico. And when I won that auto, it gave me an automatic Jack Daniel's, and that's when I sat down and started drawing up my game plan for teach classes.
Nice.
But you got to have a list. You got to have a bucket list. You got to have a goal, and that was my goal.
Nice.
Now, so when you go to cook at that Jack Daniel's, are you going to use John's Angus line, or are you going to use the Wagyu?
I'll let you know then. I'll say this: the Angus Hereford cross that is just phenomenal. His Wagyu briskets, I broke out on those back in 15, 16. Those are hands down the best briskets I've cooked in my life. Snake Rivers, I've cooked different, I've cooked HEB brands, I've cooked different stuff, different briskets. But his Wagyu brisket to me is just butter. It's just the best thing that I've ever put on the grill, and the best thing I've ever come across the table. So I've cooked a lot of his briskets, but since he came out with this Angus line, it has a Texas beef flavor with the marbling and the tenderness of a Wagyu brisket.
He gave me one of his ribeyes, and I can't wait to try it.
That Angus Hereford mixed brisket has got a flavor to its own, and when you eat it, it reminds you of Texas. It reminds you of beef, but it has the tenderness and the softness of a Wagyu brisket without that richness that goes along with it. So you can eat a lot of his Angus and not be so, not be so rich and so hard to just take a whole bunch of it in. So I don't know what I'm going to cook yet, but I can tell you that I'm cooking one Angus at the Royal next weekend, and I'm cooking Wagyu brisket.
So we have a question for you, Aaron. Out of all the competition cooks that are cooking, how many people would you say are actually using Wagyu?
I would say at any given competition, you got about 90% of them using Wagyu briskets.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, basically, people are going to, the person next to you, I mean, you don't even know, but they could be using a Midland Meat Company, brisket, or, the people next to them could be using Snake River Farms. But, I mean, it's, like, let's just say at any given, there's probably multiple people using the same cuts of meat from the same butcher, from the same beef purveyor, but in a way, you got to do something different to make yours stand out different.
Oh yeah, you have to cook it right.
Yeah.
So a lot of guys that cook A9s from Australia, from the butcher shop. They cook, Snake River Gold, the Midland Meat Company brisket. If they cook a Rosewood, anything as a cross, because unless you're doing something, most of them have a cross genetics to them,
Right.
I might be wrong, and then I'm sure someone out there will, say that I'm full of shit. But you have to know how to cook a Wagyu brisket, a Wagyu steak, a Wagyu brisket, you have to know how to cook it. And if you don't know how to do correctly, and you don't practice on it, then you will not be satisfied, because it will not come out the way it's supposed to come out. You can take that brisket further, more doneness, and still be soft and tender, because it has to bring fat content down. So you're right. There are a lot of guys cooking them, all the same quality. Genetics, your cattle, how much feed you put into it, how much time you put into it, that plays a huge part, how you finish them off. But at the end of the day, no matter what it is, at the end of the day, you have to cook that brisket right, no matter what you're cooking. You can $20, well, you can't buy one now, but you used to be able, you could buy like a $30 or $40 select brisket and cook it right, and it can be just as good as a Wagyu brisket.
Now, are you a hot and fast, low and slow?
Oh no, I don't low and slow nothing. I like to get my sleep, so I'm hot and fast. I'm cooking every bit at 300 degrees every day.
Nice.
Is that what you'll start off at, and then will you bring your temperatures down, or is it basically?
I'll start off hot and then bring my temperatures down to around the 300 range.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, Wagyu beef is very forgiving, so you can take it hotter and for an hour and a half, whatever you want to do, and then you can let it chill out and then bring it on down to 300 if you want to. You can just go at 275, 300. Wagyu beef is not meant to be low and slow.
Okay. Is that because it doesn't give it time for the fat and everything to kind of render out of it, or how does?
Well, I mean, you can cook it. You can do 200 degrees for 12 hours and then finish it off at 300 or 275, and it's going to be tender. It's going to be great. It's going to be a good piece of meat. I'm just saying is the marbling on a Wagyu brisket or beef, period, can go. You can cook a hotter temperature and not affect it as much as you can a select or a choice, because it's not as much marbling in there, so it's going to be a leaner piece of meat, and you can burn it and make it more like jerky. But you can take a Wagyu brisket and you can do a lot more with it a lot quicker. I can take that Wagyu brisket and cook it in 5 hours and be just as tender as if I was to do 4 hours low and slow.
Now the question is that just because it's Wagyu, and say if you did like a prime grade or a choice grade, would you still do it at the higher temperatures, or?
I would, but I would slow it down. I wrapped it.
Okay.
So I mean, because when you wrap it, you want it. It's going to steam it up, depending on what you're using: butcher paper, foil, a pan with foil, on top, whatever. So you just the finishing process would be different. I would still cook it and smoke it, because no matter what you do, until you hit that 165 zone, 1 to 170, when you hit that zone, after that, how you cook it in the wrap process can really determine how good that brisket comes out.
Interesting.
If you were to take a prime brisket and cook it open, right, sprit, and cook it and get a good hard bark, it's going to be hard on the outside. It'll be tender on the inside, but it'll be kind of hard on the outside. But if you were to put it and wrap it in foil, you're going to have more of a pot roasty brisket, but you're going to have a tender because it steams it. It's all how you finish it off in that process. A brisket will come out great. It's just a matter of what you do to it to cook it and how you cook it.
Nice. And for the people that are watching right now, if you do have any questions, do at Frat Daddy Barbecue so you can ask Aaron. But so far this is that's some pretty good advice, Aaron.
So I know I probably missed a little bit because of my internet service over here. But where can people find your rubs at? I mean, I know you got a lot of them here in Texas. And do you, like for our guest tonight, do you have a discount code maybe if they want to purchase?
Yeah, so you can go on my website at www.texasoildust.com. We have a full lineup of rubs, injections, barbecue sauce. If you type in the code smokers and grillers, you'll get a 10% discount right off the bat. It's automatic. You don't even have to enter nothing at checkout. Just 10% right off the bat. It'll be a capital S for smokers, space, a little N, and then a capital G for grillers, and that's an automatic code for anybody. If anyone wants to do anything, smokers and grillers, we give that to them. It's also about 85 or 90,000 members on Facebook. It's a Facebook page. It was created there in Midland, Texas, and those guys there are awesome people. Just good, friendly backyard grillers. And so we have that. We put that smokers discount code there for anyone. It's just automatic. There's no need to write different hashtags and different discount codes when we already have one that's automatic for anybody. You don't have to be a member of the page or nothing. We just give it to anyone who wants to do it. So smokers and grillers, capital S for smokers, lowercase n, and then space and a capital G for grillers. You type that in there to give you automatic code every day of the week.
And I will tell you guys, this seasoning is by far, hands down, amazing product. So,
well, I appreciate that. That means a lot. I enjoy making things taste good. It's a West Texas profile. We don't have we don't have cumin in our rubs for a South Texas flair. It's got your basic seasonings in it. Sugars and spices. Pepper. Basic heat stuff. But what we're trying to we cook so much around the state that we try to make a flavor that's appealing to everybody, and that's where our rubs come from.
Very cool.
And like I was saying at the beginning of the show, Aaron, when I first time I tried your jalapeno poppers, those son of a guns are freaking addictive. I'll never forget the first time I met you. You sent with me and Melissa home. You sent us with half a dozen of them. We didn't even make it out of the parking lot before we ate every single one of them.
Wow.
Yeah, they're good. I've been making those jalapeno poppers at the restaurant. I've been making them now for I would say roughly 20 or 21 years.
I thought mine, but you made me second guess my jalapeno poppers.
It's just how you cook them, what you smoke them with, and it's just a little bit of secret ingredients that can make it pop, but it just gives it a nice salty, sweet, little bit of heat, and hell, peppers these days are so hot that you could eat 2 of them and not get nothing, eat 4 more and burn your lip off. So it's just the way the peppers are coming these days, but. Yeah, we take pride in that. It's just something me and my kids and my wife, the family's been making for a long time,
Right on.
Now,
sorry, Jared, a quick question. What is the restaurant called? Is it just Texas Oil and Dust, or does the restaurant have its own name?
Okay, so the restaurant is owned by Barber at Midland Meat Company, and it's called the Half Acre. The Half Acre restaurant. Initially, that restaurant was going to be Midland Meat Company sits on Big Spring Street, next to Pinky's Liquor Store. There's a lot in the back. When I parked my food truck back there in 17 and 18, that lot after John put a parking lot in was about a half acre.
Okay.
And ranchers always any rancher names a place, and they name it something. Any they have, they'll name it something because that's their. Might have the North Ranch, have the Turtle Pond. I mean, something. There's something that claims that stake right there, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like, look, it's sitting on a half acre. We'll just call it the Half Acre Restaurant. That's where the name kind of came from, and it just pulled itself off from there. So we moved. John found a spot. We all kind of had this idea. John pulled this lot out. There was an outdoor patio type restaurant, and in 19, he got everything together. We moved into it and tried to see if we could sell barbecue with Wagyu beef. Everything was Wagyu beef from the store. So it was a barbecue restaurant, burgers, hot dogs. It was all Wagyu beef. Can you make it work? And so that's what we did. It was an outdoor venue. We had about seating for around 75 people. We'd fill it up, fill the parking lot up, and sell Wagyu. That's where the Half Acre started. And then he purchased an existing building that was a catering kitchen, framed it in, and that's where the Half Acre sits today.
Nice. Okay. Now, how far away is that from Midland? It's like a few places down, or
from the Midland Meat Company.
Yeah,
it's probably a 4-mile track in between it. One street, you know. It's probably 2 miles south of the loop, and another 2 miles on the north side, maybe 3. So it could be 5. You know, which it would be ironic if it was 5 miles. And 5, you know, it'd be ironic. I'm gonna text John in a minute if he's not watching this, and see if John can check the mileage and make sure it was 5 miles or not. That'd be kind of cool.
Well, it would be funny. It would be kind of ironic behind that, right, Aaron?
I mean, you know, I don't know if he's even thought about it. I'm gonna have to put a bug in his ear if he ain't. You know, so, how many miles is it between the two? But now that's where the restaurant was gonna be behind the meat store. That is now the new meat store. Midland Meat Company is expanding. They should be open around December. We got 2,700 foot of square, you know, floor spacing that be able to retail space. It's huge.
It's gonna be huge.
Wow.
It's got tall walls. I mean, you could probably duck hunt out of it. Off the roof, if you wanted to. It's pretty big, but yeah, he's got a lot of projects, a lot of irons in the fire. But you know, I'm blessed to be able to know a guy with Asher and his friendship, and you know, I couldn't tell you. I don't work a day in my life anymore. When I retire from the oil field, it's just all about having fun and turn out. I don't have to worry about the product being good because it's already great because he raised it that way. I just got to make sure that I don't screw up by over making it taste bad.
Nice. That's funny.
Yeah, so basically, Andrew, so when you pull out of Midland Meat Company, that's Big Spring Street, right, Aaron?
Yes, sir. That's right.
So when you pull out of Midland Meat Company, like it's a tiny little shop.
Yeah.
So you pull out and you take a left. So you'll go I think you'll go through 2 or 3 lights, and then you'll come up to Loop 250. You'll cross under Loop 250, and then literally probably less than a half a mile or a mile. It's all on one road.
I'd say about 2.5 miles. You're gonna on the right hand side. You got John owns the land around it, and it sits on his property, and we got a nice brick building that matches his warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I mean, it's thought out.
It used to be the guy who he bought out, he was on Pitmasters. What was his name?
Junior Arias.
Yeah, Junior Arias. John bought that building out, that whole land right there. So question I wanted to ask you, Aaron, do you plan on coming out with, say, any kind of glazes or expanding your barbecue sauces to, say, fit kind of different profiles? Like, say you might go to Florida, you might go to somewhere else, like where different profiles are going to fit different where you're cooking.
You know, we're in Texas. I don't need to make a mustard sauce, or I don't need to make a see you in the morning, brother, or a few hours, I guess. I don't need to make different types of sauces for different parts of the state. I mean, of the country, right?
Right.
Because somebody else already does that. In my theory, you can have too much. I'll say authentic to where I'm from. So I do have another barbecue sauce. I have ran it. I've had much success with this sauce. It'll be a sweeter barbecue sauce. It's got some good flavors and notes going into it, but it works great on pork and chicken. I used it. So when I got sick with COVID back in Thanksgiving, I was working. I was working on a sauce, and then I lost my taste. Right, So I had to put it on the back burner. I taste for about 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. And then when I finally was comfortable that I got it back, I started playing with it again, but it didn't taste right. So I just held off on it again. So January, and took it to Wharton, Texas. I think it was 160 teams. And Wharton, and I took a first place chicken with that sauce. First time bottle. I mean, I've tasted it.
Yeah.
I have not cooked with it, and I have not eaten other meats with it. So I took it right out of the bottle, poured on my chicken, did my normal routine. I hit a first place chicken, 160 teams, and I had a first place ribeye that day. They only give 4 first place trophies, and I took 2 of them home. You know, I'm just kidding. That chicken sauce was phenomenal. It did what I wanted to do, and I was very impressed. I had a very good weekend. I took it out the very next weekend, and I hit a first place ribs with. Took it out again the next weekend. I hit another the top 3, and I granted that one. It just kept rolling. So tweaking that sauce a little bit here and there to make different notes. And it's a sweeter sauce, but it's going to be a good, chicken and pork sauce. And I'll work on it. But right now, a lot of places aren't new recipes, So I don't want to. I'm not rushing into nothing. We've got plenty of things going on, and adding more stuff to a lot. You got to sell what you got first,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so many sauces, there's so many rubs on the market that it's flooded, and I'm about quality. I'm not about quantity.
How soon before you plan on maybe selling it and bottling it like the sauce I got here, or is that going to be something that's just going to be for like your competitions?
It will be bottled, but right now the rub and sauce industry is in a bind because we cannot bottles.
Mm-hmm.
The rub bottles like that Wildcatter, some of those bottles are easy to get and some are not easy to get. Some buy a lot of bottles and then they have them for rub. It's hard to procure enough bottles to do that. So like right now, for instance, that Brandon oil that you got in your hand, that glass bottle is out of stock. We can't get it.
Okay.
So I'm having to try to find other avenues of bottles to put my sauce in. So if I can't get bottles, why make another sauce? If I can't get to put the sauce that I have now, why try to stretch it and put another sauce on the market that I still can't get bottles for?
Yeah, very good point.
This is not the time. So time will come. Time will come. We have a lot of irons in the fire. We got things coming down the pipeline that people are going to be really excited about. The new beef marinade that should be here in the next couple of weeks. The bullseye beef marinade I sent out to a lot of people. The first week that it got sent, first place steaks, 2 in S and 2 in the jackpot categories. That day that I won the steak out of 100 teams there at Wharton was I used that marinade, and so it's got good success. It's got great reviews for first place steaks within 2 weeks of bottles, and I'm waiting on that shipment to come in, and that zesty just came here, so the rubs, or that's a rub and a marinade that I've got coming, so I need to get those on the market, get on there, and then we'll focus on the next thing that's coming down, the next line. But I'm not about putting products in a bottle and trying to sell it. I'm about selling you something that's quality, that's going to help you or your family at the kitchen table.
Nice.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed when I went down to Midland Meat Company. I was looking for that zesty garlic, and there was not one. There's none on the shelf.
Well, they have plenty now. It didn't take long to sell out what they got. So, we got it in. We sold it. I've already sold what I've got. I've got more coming. We sell at the restaurant too, so we'll try to get you some out if you don't have any.
Now, so that marinade you're talking about, Aaron, is that going to be also another one of those that's going to be like you said, it's going to be to kind of like help your backyard cooks and stuff like that. But is that going to be like, are you looking more for kind of like a fajita style marinade, or what? Like, what kind of profile are you like really shooting for?
It's a marinade. For any of your beef choice cuts, it's kind of beefy. It's got a little bit of tang, a little bit of saltiness to it. So it's going to give any beef cut an awesome flavor. At the same time, it's going to tenderize. It doesn't have tenderizer in it, but it's going to help kind of soften that up just a little bit. So it had a lot of flavor to any cut of beef. I like to marinate my wax steaks with it before I do a competition. And tri-tips, man, shoot, I'm trying to think what all I've done now. Tri-tips, that's a thicker piece of meat, but if you got like a hanger steak you're going to do some fajitas with, it's bring out a very bold, beefy flavor that you don't even have to season the steak with it. You can just take it right out of the bag and toss it right over onto the grill and cook it. And it's going to give you a great, just a solid flavor without any extra seasoning whatsoever.
So it's basically, it's not going to overpower like whatever you're cooking.
No, you open that lid and taste that dry rub powder out of the bottle. You'd be like, wow, that tastes good. If it tastes good out of the bottle, it's going to be great on beef.
Exactly.
And so that's that. It just has a great overall flavor, and I can't be more excited about it. It's done an awesome job.
When do you plan on having that for sale?
I'm waiting. I'm hoping it'll be here in a few weeks.
Nice. I'll definitely be keeping my eye out to try it on some fajitas.
Yeah. It's man, I marinate. So in competitions, I marinate my fajitas and I marinate my steaks, and I use that bottle right there. And man, it's just been a huge addition to my toolbox.
Nice. I think Jared wants that new competition barbecue sauce. You made so much. I think he's going to get in a glass blowing so he can make your bottles for you.
I solved that problem yesterday. So I got it. So we're moving to plastic, and I finally got enough plastic bottles, ordered up and found that I can move into a plastic line to get rid of the glass.
Nice.
So basically what you're saying is the glass bottle is no more.
When I run out of what I have, it won't be anymore. Unless something happens, then this pallet that I just bought of 7,000 bottles goes up and misses,
Well, then I better keep this and put this on the shelf and be like,
yeah, you might keep it up there just because it won't be available in glass anymore. There's too many happen with glass bottles. For one, glass is heavy, so it costs my companies my vendors, it costs them more to ship it.
Right.
Two, UPS, FedEx, Post Office, I think they play basketball with all of our packages. And, they air mail them from 2 or 3 stories up, and they break them real bad. And then, 3, it's just easier to move around. And if you drop it, that's a $4, $5 bottle. You just broke.
Nice. I do want to say thank you to Chuck again for the 25, and thank you for Tom with the super chat. You guys are awesome. Now we are about, we have about 10 more minutes left. So, Aaron, for someone who's, into the hobby of, backyard grilling and if they're looking at, switching away from just buying, store-bought rubs and stuff like that, and say, they wanted to get their feet wet and let me try putting together something for my own. What's a good baseline to start with as far as like, salt, pepper, a few other things, just to kind of make kind of like an all-purpose rub? Because you know how my taste could be different from yours. So if you're going to try to guide someone who's like, completely new and just for the fun of it, I want to try, throwing together a rub, what would be a good place to start?
Well, I would say equal parts. Always start small. Never go big. You go big, you waste money, and it's just, things don't taste the same. So what I like to do is play around. When I'm looking for something different, something new, I start out with tablespoons, right? So I'll say, I'm going to put a tablespoon of salt and 2 tablespoons of pepper, and maybe, that looks good, and then maybe some garlic. And so I just go through and get a ton of spices, and I start doing either equal or like a tablespoon here, tablespoon there, throw it in there, and I'll stir it, and then I'll taste it. And then I say, you know what, I'd like to, maybe I have a little cumin. Then I'll stir it up, and taste it. And then that's how you make something to fit your taste bud profile, but you also got to know what you want to put it on. I mean, all-purpose rub is good, but all-purpose rubs are different. Some are saltier, some aren't as salty, some are a little sweeter, some are a little bit more heat. So when you're trying to do an all-purpose, you're trying to mimic a flavor, and you're trying to figure out, well, is that flavor going to be? So the first thing you need to do is say, you know what, I'm cooking pork ribs today. I want to make my own type of rub. Start out with a tablespoon of salt, a tablespoon of sugar. Put those 3 things in a bottle or a jug, a bowl, stir it up, and taste it and see what you think. And then you can add some heat, you can add some garlic, you can add some onion powder, you can add some turmeric. You just go around. But, start off with the basic simple salt, sugar, pepper, a little garlic, and see what you get. And then from play, or look online. A lot of people online have free recipes out there that they've played around with, but if you're looking for something, most guys will do it. They'll buy a bottle of rub, they'll taste it, and they'll say, I wish it had a little more heat. So they'll add some heat to it. Or I wish I had a little bit more salt. They'll add some salt to it. And then they get tired of buying it, and then they start playing in the kitchen, and they come up with their own little rub profiles. That's how a lot of people get started, but at the end of the day, it's all about what do you want to put it on. Because obviously you don't want a rib rub on fish, or you don't want to put a lemon pepper rub that you made for your fish and salmon. You don't want to put that on your steaks. I mean, you may want to do something. So knowing what you want to cook is the key, and play with it from there.
Nice. Very cool.
Nice.
Very, very cool. And then if someone, you were telling us that you teach competition classes. If someone that was watching this, down the line, say, you know what, hey, I want to take Aaron's class, how would they go about doing that?
So you would reach out to me personally. On every bottle of rub that I sell, barbecue sauce, my injections, my phone number, my email address, and my website is on the side of that bottle. Cool. You can look me up in any way. You can contact me, message me, text me. It's all there. So all you have to do is when you go to the website has a message me button, or it has a button, and you say, hey, I'm interested in a barbecue class. Can you help me out? And then I will either say, yeah, let's get together. Let's talk about some things, or I will direct you to a guy that I know that's already doing class in the area, and they can help get you started with something different. This class here, we've got 5 guys from 5 different states that are here. A couple from Colorado, a couple from Oklahoma, Louisiana. So got different people that came this far to come here. But there's guys that are teaching classes all over the country. It all depends on what you want to do, what you want to learn, and how deep you go into it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, like I said, Aaron, I would definitely love to get together with you one day and sit down and maybe do like a one-on-one class.
Yeah, good. I mean, the best way to learn is one-on-one, where you got sold this time. Tomorrow we're going to have 25 people in here that are going to be paying attention, asking questions. One guy may be thinking about something else. One guy might be daydreaming about his poodles at the house, and one guy might be watching through this chicken. And then, but at the end of the day, they're not all going to be the same. They're going to get the gist of it. They're going to get the main course. But did they learn everything? No. They're going to have a lot of questions at the end of the day, and they're going to have a lot of questions tomorrow, the next day, or the next weekend. So One-on-ones are definitely better, but a classroom environment with a good teacher will keep you interested, showing, and keep you learning. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to show you how to be a better cook, no matter what you're cooking, where you're cooking at, and what you're cooking on.
Nice. What is one tip or piece of advice you'd give someone who is just starting out with their first competition?
A competition. Well,
have lots of money.
No, the best advice for someone who do their first competition is to look up a competition near you and go judge that competition. Do not go and buy your barbecue pits and buy your briskets and your ribs and chicken and pork. Don't do that first. Go find a competition somewhere and sign up to be a judge and judge that competition. Judge it. Judge all the categories. Judge 1 or 2 categories this Saturday and 1 or 2 categories next Saturday, and judge 2 or 3 contests and get an idea of what's going on, because you will spend a lot of money to figure nothing out if you start competing first. I did that, and I played 6 or 8 contests before I started even realizing that I didn't even know what I was doing. High hopes, and those high hopes ran out fast. So judge a competition, 2 or 3, 5 under your belt, learn a little bit about it, see the behind the scenes, see what the meat tastes like, see what they're doing, sauces, glazes, seasonings. You'll get different hints, and then then you can go out and spend a little money and do a couple of competitions, because you'll have a behind the scenes look into it. But go judge a few first before you start buying anything.
Nice. Do you have to have any credentials to, or is it
you need to ask for a chair and a mouth to eat.
Nice.
It depends on what you sanctioned body you're doing. If you're doing KCBS, they're going to give you a certification class, and you'll get certified, and then from there they'll show you what their criteria for judging is, and then you go judge. If you're doing a Texas-based or something that's not KCBS, then you can just kind of give you a little quick run through, and then they'll give you the judge's criteria there, and then you can just kind of sit down and judge. So
nice.
Really, you just need to learn. You just need to like food and be open-minded to everything.
Right on. Very cool. Jared, do you have any other questions, buddy?
Not that I can think of, honestly. I just, like I said, you guys really need to go check his website out, get you some bottles, and his all-purpose, his Wildcatter, all that stuff is absolutely amazing, and you guys definitely won't be disappointed with the flavor it puts on your food.
It's funny.
Go online, check us out on Facebook at Texas Oil Dust on Facebook. We have Instagram,
nice.
Twitter, but Facebook, you're going to see a lot of photos, a lot of pictures. Follow the Facebook page. Follow me personally. You'll see I post pictures every weekend. The pits we on, the food that we turn out, you'll see all this stuff. So it's a really good learning curve, and you get to see a lot of things. People are like, man, how'd you make that so good? Well, there's a picture of it. Come to my class, I'll show you. Nice. So follow us on Facebook. We have a shop, and you can do all that there, but you'll see a lot of behind the scenes.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. I'm seeing Johnny from View to a Grill come in. We were just talking about competitions, and Johnny, he had posted like this steak that he turned in, and this steak had perfect grill marks. This thing looked picturesque, and he was like, I won a big old piece of humble pie. I got like 13th place. And I'm like that. I even messaged him before he even submitted it. I was like, that by far is the best steak I have ever seen. And so me and Johnny were talking, and he was saying that he's like, I should try to look into being a judge so I can even say, well, what are people turning in, so you can kind of get a feel of like, oh, okay, I know where I need to go. So, man, Aaron, the advice you gave and the information you shared has been really, really awesome. Thank you for being on our live show. You got a busy
appreciate it.
You got a busy day tomorrow. What time are you starting tomorrow?
5:30.
Dang, man! So you could probably close your eyes for 15 minutes and.
I might not even go to bed. Now, I'm pumped up. I'm ready to go. But we'll start early. Get the fires lit. Everybody there. There'll be a lot of sleepy heads in the morning. Get some coffee and a couple of monsters in us.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, thank you for joining us, Aaron. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all.
Jared, if you want to post the link to the after party in the chat, if you want to, we are on. But Aaron, thank you so much, buddy, and
appreciate it, guys.
Good luck tomorrow on your class, all right, buddy?
It was great.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Aaron.
Cheers, buddy. All right, guys, that was a fun and awesome barbecue late night live. That was really cool. I was completely blessed by tonight. That is awesome. Jared is going to be posting the after party link if we did want to hop on.
Yes, just going to give you guys a heads up. It's only going to be for a 30-minute hangout.
30 minutes.
Short and sweet. So I posted a link. Let's see you guys over there. And let's go do it.
All right, guys. All right, until next time, we'll see you on the next Barbecue Late Night Live. Cheers all. Peace.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.